Hi, welcome back. I think we have had a two, three, maybe more, almost a month long break in every Friday's episode. And yeah, I was on a business trip and that long list of collaborations. Okay, being the South Asia coordinator for the faculty, it's a very important part. And institutional collaborations and partnerships are the future of academia. Well, that's the things apart. But I think today uh, is a very special day for all of us. Two most important things have happened recently. I know, and based on your messages and especially yesterday's event, I think many of you wanted to know my opinion. What do I have extra to add to your view? Oh, yes. The most important things that we will discuss today is first the recent change in regime by Ministry of Interiors of Czechia. Some decision that directly affects the long-term student visas, and the second is this event of shooting in Prague. Let's take one thing at a time. First is change in regime. Okay. Uh, what the information that I have is this: Ministry of Interior has changed rules for us, rules for us to nominate. I mean, the rules that we were using before uh, in choosing the students for regime, and regime was a very nice way uh, for us to arrange the appointment slot for our students. I'm somebody who has seen the rise of regime before this, and I have seen this visa application and appointment is not new. So first thing is yes, there are some changes. Yes, it affects you directly, but but the universities are protesting, and I know there will be something new because this is how this circle repeats itself. But let me before I go to the final conclusions, let me start with what I have to say. Regime. What exactly was regime? Regime was our way of communicating to MOI that these are the students that we want here to study, and the MOI in turn used to choose some selective students, and they used to communicate with embassy that arrange an appointment for them, and this is how it worked somehow. Uh, Earlier, there were for sure some requirements for us to nominate students. For example, uh, you have to have your notification ready and other stuff, which was easily mostly done. But now we have some clauses that are there that are really difficult. Uh, First is this 3 year gap. If student has a more than 3 year gap, we cannot nominate. Again, I want to differentiate between two different things: nomination as a regime and arranging visa by yourself. So let's handle them separately. In student regime, we used to nominate. Now they want some language qualifications, but I think especially for Indian students who studied in English, and once you plan to leave India, almost everybody wanted have has a IELTS score. So the authentic student, he never had a problem. He will never have a problem. But the challenge will be somebody who was a nice student, and he never. For us, we said you don't need IELTS, but you studied in English. That can be sorted. But again, even the regime quota for India has shrinked now. That means those who have used regime, they know it, but those don't do not. I tell you, not every nomination by us was successful. It was not a assurance that once we nominated it will go through. It was never like that. So there was always a chance, and this chance element we had no control over it. However, some new rules have changed for us. For example, the dropout rate, if it reaches certain value, then we will lose the regime possibilities totally. So, as institution, we lose whatever small or more or less influence we have over the system. That means that means for if you are somebody who just passed out your bachelor's degree, he has a nice academic background and English is okay. And I mean the real student. So for you, nothing has changed. Of course, the documentations have changed. Uh, Inside story is that none of the university is liking it. Everybody is protesting against it, but we are helpless against the policies. But I'm sure these things happen to us all from time to time. Second thing is arranging the appointment by yourself. Well, for non-Indian students, coming to Czechia was always a headache. I know that. Your super legalization meant travel to Delhi. Your every time you needed to give visa interview, you needed to travel to Delhi. And that's why we didn't have many students for sure. And there's one more element. There was one more element associated to non-Indian students. Of course, let's include Indian students here also. I'm excluding Indian students because you are in a hostel country. That means you never needed to go to embassy before your visa application or a visa interview comes into picture, which is already a very late stage. What I'm trying to stress here is things have gotten complicated. Somebody made policies he had no idea about, because on an average, if a student wants to travel from Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or Nepal, I am not talking about the agency supported students, but even if you hired a consultant, at least 1 year of this, and what people, okay, I know you expect honesty from me. Czech was mostly not the first choice of institution. So what people did, they applied several countries, and we were among the second or third top tier, the third choice of the country for migration. It has had its own reasons. Things are changing, I know, but we were never the institution of choice for you. Now, what will change? I know a lot many of you who were supported by Czech institutions and regime had its own flaws. For example, the priorities were doctorates, masters, and bachelors. That had its own flaws, because what was best for institution is that we let the student in at bachelors, and then we prepare the student for future. He understands cultural research methodologies, and then he becomes a nice team member. Regime has had its own flaw. However, it won't be supporting you. That means you will be by yourself in arranging visa appointments for the long term studies, and looking at the characteristics of students who came here to study with us in last 2 3 years. I'm talking about 60 to 70% of students, those who manage to enroll here, will fall in that category of more than 3 year gap. That means the number of students will fall. That is one thing. But it is not impossible to get. It is not impossible to get a visa appointment, long-term visa appointment. There are some tips and tricks. If I am your coordinator, you can always write me a message, and I will be happy to help you with that. And I mean, it has become certainly more difficult. We are trying to find ways around it, which is not very easy. But yes, it is not impossible either. So if you don't, if you are thinking that let's drop Czechia at all, it won't be a wise decision. You have reasons to come. You can your Even though you do not fit the regime category, you can manage to find your appointment. There is no reason for you to give up. The second most important issue was shooting in Prague. And for us South Asians, this safety issue is a very big issue. I think this is a deal breaker for some of you. And I know this news has so widespread that even your local language news channels must be spreading this news that there 14 people died, and 25 got injured in Prague, and it was an institute, it was a university. Well, I'm not saying this is wrong. The facts are that it is correct. It is correct. It has happened. But what they did not tell you is, or what you don't see normally is, every rector of almost every institution, including Mandel, immediately came out and criticized it. And we will have a new policy for security for assuring the safety of students. It's a huge thing. Believe me, it's a policy changing level event for us. The president of Czechia immediately came online. He expressed his concerns, and safety is one of we are the seventh most safest country in the world. That means safety is of utmost priority for us, and there is no reason to think otherwise. A standalone event is not enough to change your whole opinion. There are outliers everywhere. Just because there was one shooting, it doesn't turn us into US and gun violence. There is no need to walk on that trajectory. Czechia is same country that it was, the same country where we said there is very limited extent of there is almost no case of racism, foreigner friendly, especially these cosmopolitan uh, places like Brno or Prague. You will find almost zero to none minimum level of racism, except okay, criminals are everywhere, right? If somebody behaves in a peculiar way, it could be that he's antisocial. So there's no need to worry. I will bring more update what has changed in the security. The president of Czechia, immediately came online and he has given his view. The police system is good. The security is doing their best. Even at rectors and institutes level, even deans are coming out and assuring you that we will do everything as much as policy goes to retain our safety standards. It will be safe. It's the same nation where you can send your kid to study and feel free. This event, I think it is one of the only events in the history of Czechia. It's a very important and serious issue for everyone, including politicians, policymakers, general public. It's a big setback for us, but it has happened. It has happened, and unfortunately, at a university in a public space, well, we have our own limitations. We have to allow access to people because being a public institutions, I think those policy will change, and I think it will be a very, very important lesson in the policies and the general public for moving from here. Again, I repeat, nothing has changed. This is rare of rarest case. It doesn't happen here. It is not the character of Czechia, and you have no reason to worry about the safety considering along this set alone. This is not a dent. Okay, it's a standalone case. Let's keep it as a standalone case, and I really wish, and we going in past in history, we don't have this thing. We don't These things never happened here. We are It doesn't make it unsafe for anyone, including foreigners. So please, don't take your trajectory of thoughts or negative thoughts for negative for Czechia. We are safe. We are still safe country. We are still heart of Europe. It has everything that it has had, and I assure you, things are not changing. If they will change, uh, I think I will be one of the first who will say that okay, things are changing. Things are changing. So I would like to repeat: regime is changing, of course, but the changes are not big enough for you to drop your application and look for other countries. There was security issue, there was a security threat, something has happened, something really terrible has happened. But while you look at the tragedy, you should also look at the response. The whole system has come into action, and we will find excellent solutions to this. With this, I wish you luck for your applications, and colleagues and friends. Nothing has changed. The institution is same. The country is same. We are still safe, and there are issues, including this new rule. We will find ways around. We will find solutions. The institutions are negotiating, and for sure there'll be new update. Those who are old classical friends of mine, there was a meltdown of visa point, but we found a better way. That's how regime came. So believe me, if something is going wrong, that also indicates something very good will come into light. Good luck. Thank you for your questions that you send me on the WhatsApp, which is still in public, or here. I really feel nice and honored in answering your questions. Have a nice day ahead. Have a nice weekend. Merry Christmas.